think you'll like this one. Who was your favorite doctor?
So, okay, this is a complicated question, and I have to preface this by saying there is not a single doctor that I don't absolutely love. Every single one of them has added something awesome to the role and given it a dimension that it otherwise would not have had. Every single one of them is vital. I would not change a thing about any of the actors who've taken up the mantle of the Doctor. Now, Tom Baker was my first Doctor. He was the first, and he's probably, for very good reason, the most iconic. He had the role the longest. He had the great scarves and the crazy hair and that just wonderful grin. And he would say things like, people would say, "My God, you're crazy." He'd be like, "Yes, I know, isn't it wonderful?" And he was this really great bohemian thing. Just this phenomena was Tom Baker. And I loved him for years and years and years. So much so that it actually took me a very long time to accept anybody else as the Doctor. However, and while Tom Baker is probably one of my all-time favorites, my absolute favorite Doctor now, and this will probably be forever, my absolute favorite Doctor is Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor. And the reason I say that, and like no one claps because no one's seen any of his stuff, Patrick Troughton was the second Doctor, and he is, I think, the most important because he was the first actor to take up the mantle of the character that up to that time had only been played by one other person, William Hartnell. May he rest in peace, who was this wonderful silver-haired grandfatherly figure. He was even a little bit sinister, but Hartnell was in the hearts and minds of everyone who watched that show the first 3 years of its run, from 1963 to 66. Hartnell was the Doctor, and when he had to leave the show for health reasons, they had a good thing, they didn't want to give it up, so they came up with this idea, well, let's just get Patrick Troughton in here, this wonderful actor who has a host of credits to his name. Let's get him in there and see what he does with it. And they were like, well, you can't imitate Hartnell. You simply can't. So they came up with this idea of regeneration. The Doctor will regenerate and he'll have a sort of new personality. The core personality will be the same, but he'll have outwardly, he'll look different, he'll act a little differently. And Troughton ran with it and completely turned it around and made it very different. His approach to the role was very Chaplin-esque, very clownish. He wore baggy clothes and he had this kind of stupid-looking Beatles haircut. And he played a recorder and he was shambling and he was bohemian and this sort of scrappy outsider who was always going, "Oh yes, I don't know." He was always overwhelmed and frightened by everything. And he was really funny, but beneath all that was this wonderful, searing intelligence that always got to the bottom of things. And so people hated him at first because he was such a departure from Hartnell. But after like a season, everyone loved him. And if it hadn't been for Patrick Troughton doing what he did, we wouldn't be talking about it right now, because without Troughton, the show would not have survived. And so he is the actor that, for me, laid the groundwork for all the other actors to come in and take up the role and make it their own, as he did. And so Patrick Troughton, who died at 67, at a Doctor Who convention, I might add, how awesome is that? The man was completely dedicated to the role and would continue making convention appearances well into his 60s, and he passed away, unfortunately, in the night during one of them in, I think, 88, 89 or something years ago. And, but he's really, sadly, because he's from the first, that black and white era of Doctor Who, there's something of 63 episodes of his are completely gone, forever. The BBC destroyed them because they were not farsighted enough to know that they would ever have a market for this stuff in a home video format. So they burned it to make room in the vaults. And all that survives is a handful of his episodes. I think about 6 or 7 of them are available on DVD. Stories, rather, 4 or 5 episodes each. And some audio that they had, that they found various people recording stuff and some of the audio tracks they've had. So Patrick Troughton is my favorite, and if those of you that don't know who he is, go and find the stuff. Yes, it's back in the old Who days, and it's kind of cheesy, and it's, the monsters are made of tinfoil and paper mache, but it's so wonderful, it's so wonderful. You have to be made of stone not to be moved by Patrick Troughton's take on the Doctor. He was absolutely my favorite. That's a very long answer, but there you go.
Thank you, sexy.
Yes, my lord.
Hi, Jay, Michael.
Hello.
That's awesome. I've liked your work here. I really like your work, and I just started listening to the podcast, and the one that you did with Chris Harris was awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Got two fun questions here. The first one is, do you ever go into the booth and start doing a character in someone else's character? Like, where all of a sudden you're reading Black Butler and all of a sudden Francis' voice comes out.
That has happened. In fact, that very thing has happened when I was trying to do a character, when I was trying to do France, and for some reason I was bantering in between takes and I started doing Sebastian's voice because Jamie Marchi was directing me and she loves that voice and she'll be like, Tatum, just tell me, say, Jamie Marchi, you're beautiful and I love you. And then suddenly I couldn't do France, but then I'd sort of like, no, I suddenly can't find the, oh no, what's going on? What's going on? Tell me what you've done with it. And she thought it was hysterical, and so she had to give me like 5 minutes where I just went into a French tirade and just like spouted all the French I knew in like 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, now I can do the voice, okay, But yeah, that's happened. In fact, those very two characters have been confused.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah.
Yeah, and on that same note, I know last year you talked about going over to drive-thrus and terrorizing everyone who orders as N-word. Do you terrorize them with other voices as well? Like, you order as France, or do you order as...
I have ordered as France, but not on a drive-thru. I went to like La Madeleine's and like got like a salad. It's a French bistro sort of place. Like we have them in Texas. I don't know if they're anywhere here, but it's such a fake French thing. And I go and I was like, yes, I would love the tomato basil soup, please. Yes. And I just start like, and everyone around me is like, what the hell is wrong? No. Ooh, I want a baguette. I want a baguette. Give me a baguette. And it's so funny, these people, like, I guess I must be the least strange thing they see every day because they just say, like, yep, here's your soup, here's your baguette. And I'm gonna stop doing it, no one responds to it anymore. I could like, it's like, I've said this before, but I could go through the drive-thru of Jack in the Box like naked on a rhinoceros and no one would care. They're like, here's your number 6, sir. Nice rhinoceros. Move on, please. So yeah, I do all of it. It's mostly France and Inaru, and occasionally it's Kamui. But only if I've got like enough people in the car to make it really uncomfortable for them. Because they hate that. I'm like, okay, what does everyone want? Hurry! We don't have all day! I was gonna ask for coffee, but your coffee probably sucks! Never mind! Yes. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does. That's awesome.
He's sitting there stunned. He's like, oh my god.
I know. And regardless of what you think, and you're before Scar, so that makes you really hot.
Thank you. Yes, my lord. Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. It's my first encounter.
Oh my god, I'm really nervous too.
Voice actor today.
Oh, that's sarcasm. Dripping with sarcasm. Jeez.
Okay. So there's pretty much... Is it 1 or 2? I'll just go with 1 right now. So, my question to you, J. Michael Tatum, is... Which characters do you feel best compared to you, like the best and the least, that you voice?
2 characters who I think are the most like me.
No, like one that's most like you and one that's least like you.
Okay. Well, there's actually, I think, well, I have 2 actually for the first question. The 2 characters that are the most like me are Kyoya, as I mentioned earlier, and Lawrence from Spice and Wolf. And Lawrence is very, very close to my heart, but that's a character that's very much like, I agree with his view on life. I relate to where he's coming from. You know, that was a profound experience for me. The least like me, probably Zargin from Blastwriter, which was a very difficult role for me to say. He was a bad guy, but he was a really kind of a religious nut, and that's difficult for me to relate to. I don't get that. It was fun to play, but that's probably the least like me I've ever had to be in the booth.
Okay.
And I've played a duck before. Does that count? I was a duck in One Piece. I'm nothing like a duck. Nothing like a duck. So thank you. Yes, my lord.
All right. That's yes, my lady to you.
Yes, my... Oh, goodness me. I was told to say yes, my lord. I'm sorry, but my orders come from this little lady sitting over there, so you have to take it up with her. Yes, my lady. God, go sit down.
Wait, I had one more.
You had one more? Oh my god.
Because, I'm sorry, I'm just so flustered. I forgot. Please forgive me.
Not gonna happen. Go on.
I see how it is. All right.